But it's not all work, in all seriousness. They have a good time as well. The travel bug hit these two very early. 1957, when you weren't watching Danny Thomas, lots of stuff going on, but it was not a time of elaborate honeymoons. But after their wedding, Faye and Ron were able to get in that white Chevy they had, drive due north about 300 miles to Chicago for a few days for a honeymoon before college classes started. But I will point out gas was 24 cents a gallon then, so that trip was a little easier than it might be today. Later vacations involved tents and pop-up campers and boats and kids. The value of being together as a family was reinforced every time we began a new adventure on the road. To Florida to see Uncle Don and Aunt Martha, to Texas to see Uncle Bill, or to Wisconsin to see Uncle Bob and Aunt Midge, or closer trips to Cincinnati to see Uncle Dave and Carmen and their family, or to Indianapolis to see Uncle Marion and Aunt Katie and all the great cousins and family who have come down to see us today. And of course, we had to go down by the Green River where Paradise lay in Muhlenberg County to see Aunt Joyce and Uncle Frank and all of our cousins like Jan, even though we were just having a discussion, maybe we were second cousins, but it gets complicated. We spent a lot of time in Petersburg, Indiana. First for summer vacations, and then later for frequent weekend trips when we lived a little closer. Now, Faye hasn't lived in Petersburg for more than 50 years, but she still refers to a trip to Petersburg as going up home. And our every other summer car trips in those days to Arizona to see Dad's sister Mary Nell and her family were always a highlight. Our travels often included Elvis and Pat Miller, our granddaddy and grandmother. And while we may have looked a little bit like the Joker family packing up in the Grapes of Wrath, heading to California and the Promised Land, boy, did we have a great time. We swam along the way one time in the largest free swimming pool in the world in Garden City, Kansas. We laid on the ground with an arm and a leg in 4 different states up there in Four Corners, Utah. We've been to the Grand Canyon National Park than probably most people have even been to a state park. We still haven't found the world's largest ball of twine, but we keep looking. Of course, the destinations were fun, but the trip with our family was the real adventure. Now, 6 people in a station wagon for 3,500 miles round trip can only be described as an adventure, but I wouldn't trade those memories of those trips for anything. As the years passed, retirement and an empty nest didn't slow these two down. Faye and Ron have been all over the continental United States, to England, Canada, Alaska, Hawaii, the Panama Canal, most of the Caribbean, the Bahamas, and Mexico. They've been on more than a dozen cruises and right now have 3 more planes. In fact, they're leaving. No, they're not. Is it any wonder today that our extended family still takes many vacation trips together, or that one of their kids is a part-time travel agent, or that every grandchild they have will have been on a cruise with them by the end of October? Along the way, we kids learned to be entrepreneurial by watching our dad start a business, and we watched our mom successfully go back into the workplace after a brief 18-year hiatus to help make us who we are today. As young children and adolescents, our entire family sat around the dinner table, sharing stories and making each other laugh. I don't know that we knew at the time how precious those memories would become. Being together seemed to last forever back then. The cynic would say, at least when Dan and I were talking, it lasted forever. And yet we realize now how special those moments were, and we thank our parents for helping us understand how meaningful that commitment to family really is. The probability of divorce for couples getting married today tops around 40%. Is there a secret to a happy marriage that lasts 50 years? Communication is certainly key. Now, some of you may say, Ron and Faye are only average communicators. By that I mean she talks a little more and he talks a little less. And on average, they probably can communicate. But I asked her if she had any thoughts on the secret to reaching this milestone, and Faye said simply, we've been good to each other. Thank you for indulging me here today. We had a 35th anniversary party and no one asked me to speak. And I've had these notes that Susan and I put together in my pocket for 15 years. So I appreciate the opportunity. Obviously, Dan and Susan and Lori and I, along with our own families, are very proud of Faye and Ron Miller, our parents. 50 years and a day can go by pretty quickly, it seems. But isn't it amazing what a difference Two people can make it in the world in that time. Mom and Dad, we thank you, we honor you, and we love you. That was when the champagne cork was supposed to go off. Mom and Dad, may the joy, success, fulfillment, and happiness of your first 50 years together continue and grow in all the days to come. Congratulations, and we love you. Cheers. Cheers. Well, thank you all very much. If Dan is able to make it, we'll just turn the podium over to him and give him a couple minutes. He was going to be a part of this program, and as I said, unfortunately wasn't able to be here. You can see this is a very, very special day to our family, and it means more than you can imagine that you came out today to be a part of it. We're going to cut the cake here, I think, now, and we're just going to stay and enjoy each other's company and be a part of this, and look forward to the future that we've got coming up the road here with our family. And I'm guessing we got a helper with the cake cutting. All right. Thank you all very much.